what would be a modern take on RoboCop? Because you cannot expect people to just take, like, corpses or near-dead people and turn them into robots. Like, in the modern world, we are, like, obsessed and paranoid about technology, so why the hell would anybody be fine with a robot cop? It doesn't make any sense. I suppose Universal Soldier kind of makes sense with bioengineered bodies or whatever, but yeah, that's the thing about RoboCop. Not only did the people who were supposed to write the story for the remake not know what to do with it, like not know what they were doing, like what the appeal was, or were limited by PG-13 nonsense, but like what do you legitimately do with RoboCop? Because RoboCop is very, very, very 80s, because in the 80s, computers seemed like magic, and people didn't realize how stupid they were. So what legitimate reason would there be to have a RoboCop? Like, separated from his family, a corpse, blah blah blah, mega corporation, blah blah blah, etc. Like, a modern RoboCop, if a corporation were to make one, would have to be clandestine. Like a secret RoboCop. Like a cop that is internally a machine. So he would have to have the face of a man as he goes around and does his thing. And the company would have to figure out ways to give him plausible reasons to take out criminal organizations. The criminal organizations would have to form as a consequence of what the company is doing, right? So it would end up as this story where a corporation invents a reality where, everything gets ruined because of the corporation, and the corporation has to fix things. So they would have to hide the robot. Right. In which case, you would have to have multiple robot cops, and it would turn into an Invasion of the Body Snatchers type scenario, right? And then you would have to have the same technology being used on politicians, etc., etc., etc. But you wouldn't be able to use the technology on every person, right? You'd have to bribe some people to, be in charge. So you'd have to have kind of a they live type situation where the RoboCops are, like, controlled from within by technology, and the human power elite are owned by the corporation. In which case, would it make sense to make a human enemy, or would it make sense to make an artificial intelligence enemy? And how would you separate Murphy from his family in such a scenario? Like, maybe you could create an emotional separation and make the whole RoboCop persona like a special suit, like a special SWAT type uniform that emboldens the cop. Like, people think it's like a bioarmor, like designed for going into action and like stopping people who are doing mass shootings or whatever. But in reality, it's someone being controlled from within because they can't make the bioarmor properly work with individual people. So they have to hijack the body to improve his performance. Right. But then he would have to fake humanity when he's being interviewed. So they increasingly build up this issue of a conspiracy, and they'd have to decide when to kill him and when not to kill him. And then what do you do with RoboCop 2 or Ed 309 with the big robots? Like, what is the justification for having a big walking robot? like, because it cannot be a machine that is there to stop crime. It would have to be some sort of riot-busting robot. Like, the big robot has to be used to stop riots. That's what makes sense. In which case, what would be the legitimate justification for such a machine? It would have to be the machine versus the rioters, because the rioters set buildings on fire. In which case, your movie automatically becomes like a BOM type associated thing with real world politics, in which case you're fucked. So it would be very, 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 very difficult to make a new RoboCop. So I think it makes a lot more sense to just bring back the old RoboCop world and just make RoboCop now humanoid looking and emotive, and like bad guys show up and he has to step out of retirement to stop crime, so he's back, but then it turns out that it's the mega corporation that's responsible for all the crime, and he might end up as a scapegoat or something. Something like that would be like a legitimately good sequel to RoboCop. That would be like what to do with the property, because it just doesn't make sense. Other than setting it in the alternate history 80s, it just doesn't make any sense.